Very good afternoon, viewers. We welcome you all to this webinar on the intimation of voluntary payment at GST portal. We have been bringing the new functionalities on at GST portal, and accordingly, we are bringing you the webinars explaining these new functionalities which are available on the GST portal. So this is the volume 4. In case you want to see the earlier volumes, that is volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3, which explains the new functionalities which have been deployed recently at GST portal. Please, the recording of these webinars are available on the YouTube channel of Goods and Services Tax Network, as well as on the YouTube channel of Digital India portal, Digital India Learning. So you can view these webinars if these you want to get knowledge about these new functionalities which have been covered in the earlier volumes. So this is the volume 4 of new functionalities, and in this webinar I will describe how to file intimation for voluntary payment at GST portal. So I welcome you all again. And this webinar is organized by GSTN in collaboration with the National E-Governance Division, Digital India. So the agenda for today is, first we will have an overview, what is the voluntary payment in GST, and we will discuss what are the timelines for the voluntary payment, in which cases we can do voluntary payment, and the benefits of voluntary payment. And we will discuss how to file the intimation of voluntary payment, that is form DRC 03 at GST portal. And we will elaborate the step-by-step which are to be taken by the taxpayer while filing intimation of voluntary payment to the tax department. At last, we will entertain some questions and we'll reply there accordingly. So coming to the voluntary payment in GST. So voluntary payment is done where the tax which are to be paid but not paid entirely or short paid, or the tax is erroneously refunded. Suppose a claim is filed by the taxpayer and the sanction is erroneous to some extent. And in case where the input tax credit has been wrongly availed or utilized towards the payment of tax by the taxpayer, so in these type of cases, the voluntary payment can be done by the concerned taxpayers. Otherwise, the department will, upon discovery of the facts, it will issue the demand for the recovery of tax, and the taxpayer may face the consequences in form of penalties of various kinds. So if the voluntary payment is done by the taxpayer, it can be made before service of notice or a statement served by the department, or it can be done on own ascertainment of such tax by the taxpayer. So by both ways, whether the tax which has not been paid or short paid, or which has been erroneously refunded, or in which case the ITC has been wrongly availed or utilized, the person himself, the taxpayer can himself ascertain the amount of such tax, or it can be ascertained by the proper officer. So the voluntary payment can be done in both the cases. In such case, the taxpayer, after paying the tax along with the interest, and in some cases penalty is to be paid, we will further elaborate those use cases where the penalty is to be paid. And after payment of tax along with the interest, the taxpayer inform the proper officer in writing of such payment. That is called voluntary payment. And to enable this communication, a form DRC 03 has been deployed at GST portal. So before we proceed further, I may request the viewers of this webinar, please go through the section 73 and 74 of CGST Act, and as well as Rule 142 of CGST rules, which describes entirely the proper mechanism of the demand in case of erroneous payment or short payment or non-payment, or the erroneous refund, or the misutilization of ITC credit. So for indication purpose, the rule 142(2) of CGST rules prescribes that where the person who is chargeable with tax makes payment of tax and interest before service of notice or statement. Statement is nothing but a form of notice to be issued by the department. So there are two provisions. One is section 5 of section 73 as well as in section 74. To begin with, section 73 deals with the recovery, demand and recovery of tax, where for any reason other than the misstatement, suppression of facts with for to evade payment of tax. So this will not be covered under section 73. Normal type of short payment cases where the there is no intention to evade payment of tax is there, and where there is no suppression of fact and misstatement or such things are there. In that case, if the taxpayer makes payment of tax and interest before service of the notice, then in that case he can communicate after payment of tax and interest. He will communicate regarding this payment in form DRC 03 to the department. And if there are reasons for misstatement or suppression of facts, then in such case, which the subsection 5 of section 74 will be invoked, and the taxpayer is liable to pay tax entirely and interest and a penalty amount equal to the 15% of such tax. And in that case, the taxpayer will pay the tax amount plus interest and penalty 15% and inform the proper officer of such payment in form DRC 03. And after getting that intimation, the proper officer shall issue an acknowledgement in the form GST DRC 04. So DRC 03 is a new functionality which has been recently deployed at GST portal, by which the taxpayer can intimate the details of the voluntary payment made by them under Rule 142 of CGST rules. So in other case where the notice for demand of tax has been issued, in that case also the relevant provisions are section 73 subsection 8 and section 74 subsection 8. In that case, the taxpayer will pay if the tax and interest is paid within 30 days of the service of notice. In that case, the taxpayer will pay only the tax and interest amount. And if the notice is issued under subsections under section 74, then the taxpayer will pay along with the tax and interest the penalty up to the 25% amount if the notice has been issued. But this facility is available if the such payment is made within 30 days of the service of notice. In that case also, he can intimate the proper officer of such payment and form DRC 03. And the proper officer shall issue an order in form DRC 05, and the proceedings will be concluded against that person upon receipt of such communication of voluntary payment by taxpayer. So the timelines for voluntary payment, there are two types of timelines: where the notice has not been issued. Then in that case, the communication for voluntary payment is to be done before a notice is issued or a statement issued by the department. And in case the demand notice has been issued by the department, in that case also the taxpayer can make such payment and furnish its communication in form DRC03 within 30 days from the date of issue of notice. But it cannot file DRC03 after a period of 30 days from the date of issue of notice. So there are many benefits of the voluntary payment by the taxpayer, because tax, when it is due, it should be paid in time, and it increases the compliance, and by the tax collection, it makes our nation progress in the economic activities. So if one is compliant, it saves time and money spent in avoidable litigations also. And it as the time progresses in litigation and the amount remains unpaid, then the interest burdens also increases, or which is interest to be paid on tax. So the voluntary payment enables to lessen the interest burden, because tax is paid as early as possible by the taxpayer, and it creates the peace of mind amongst the taxpayers who make their timely payment of tax. And it also benefits the taxpayer in form of, in such cases, no penalty is paid by the taxpayer, and in some cases lesser amount of penalty is payable by such taxpayer who use the voluntary payment mechanism. So for details, you may refer to section 73 and 74 of CGST Act and rule 142 of CGST rules. So it also saves our productive time and money, which is spent in long and useless litigations. So for the benefit of viewers, I have prepared a chart what penalty amount is to be paid and when not to be paid. So if the payment of under 73, where is no fraud or misstatement case, as per rule 142 sub rule 2 of CGST rules, if the amount along with interest is paid before notice, then no penalty is payable. If the amount is paid within 30 days after issue of notice, even then the no penalty is paid if the demand is under section 73. If the SCN has been issued under section 73, in that case the taxpayer is if the taxpayer is making voluntary payment within 30 days from the date of issue of show cause notice, then in that case it may pay the 10% penalty amount. And it has also been provided in the rules, when where any amount of self-assessed tax or any amount collected as tax has not been paid by the taxpayer within the time limit provided within 30 days of such period of date of such payment, then the penalty of 10% of tax or the rupees 10,000, whichever is higher, shall be leviable. And in section 74, which deals with the cases of non-payment, short payment, erroneous refund, or misutilization of input tax credit due to any fraud, willful misstatement, suppression of facts, to evade payment of tax. In that case, if the entire amount along with the interest is paid before service of notice, then 15% of tax is the penalty amount equal to the 15% of tax is to be paid by such taxpayer. And if such taxpayer pays the tax amount plus interest within 30 days from notice, he is also to pay 25% of tax amount in lieu of penalty. So if the order has been issued, in that case, under section 74, 50% of tax is payable as penalty in addition to the tax amount and interest amount by such taxpayers. So here we come to filing DRC 03, how to intimate such voluntary payment by the taxpayer at GST portal. There has been a form in DRC 03 which enables a taxpayer to make payment voluntarily. Voluntarily means either on his own ascertainment or as ascertained by the department. But before it should be made before issue of notice under section 73 or 74, or where a notice has been issued, a strict timeline for payment is for communication of voluntary payment is it should be made within 30 days of issue of show cause notice. So the DRC 03 cannot be filed after 30 days of issue of show cause notice in any case. So this the precondition to make voluntary payment is if the voluntary payment is made before issue of show cause notice, it should be made sure that no show cause notice for determination of tax has been issued by the department, or in case the voluntary payment is made after issue of show cause notice, then the 30 days time period should not have been lapsed. The voluntary payment and the communication thereof in form DRC 03 should be made within the 30 days time limit of from the issuance of such notice by the department. So now I will describe the step-by-step guide how to file DRC 03 at GST portal. So the major steps, in fact, the DRC 03 form is we can fill DRC 03 form in two parts. In first part, we declare the whatever is we have to make payment as the voluntary payment or against any show cause notice. So in that part, we declare that part, the liability and paid. In second part, we utilize that payment reference number and file that communication after attaching the documents, relevant documents to the case. And if there is any other information is to be filed, a text box is provided in that part. So we will quickly go through the representative slides for these filing steps. So after login, a taxpayer selects services and then he selects user services, in which he gets the submenu as my applications. You can see my applications in the submenu of user services after login in. So here there are three type of applications, four type of applications in the drop down menu. You have to select intimation of voluntary payment, that is DRC 03. And if it has not been saved by you or filed by you during previously, then you will have to click on new application. So this is the screenshot for new application. When we click new application, we get the form opens, DRC 03 opens, and in which your GST number and your legal name, trade name is auto-populated and the status is draft. Here you have to select the cause of payment. This column from the drop-down list, you will have to select the cause of payment. There may be three type of causes. So the three type of causes is, one is voluntary payment. If the taxpayer wants to pay the amount of tax and interest voluntarily, that is before issuance of show cause notice, he will have to select voluntarily. If in case the show cause notice has been issued by the department, he will select this. And if the payment is on some other ground, the tab is provided for others. Now I will distinguish what opens when we select the different submenus, voluntarily or assign or others in the form. So when you open voluntarily payment, when you click on voluntary payment, then the payment date is fixed. It is the date of opening that form and selecting it. So suppose I have opened that form on 5th of June. The payment will be shown as on 5th of June. And in your case, it will show the current date, which is on the date of in which you exercise such option. Now you will have to select the section number. There are two type of section numbers provided in this. One is section 73.5 and one is section 74.5. So to distinguish the section 73.5 and 74.5, I have covered this in my the previous part of this presentation. So I will not further go into this, but one has to be careful that a penalty amount is to be paid when one selects the 73.5 or 73.5, no penalty is to be paid, only the tax and interest is to be paid. And if one selects 74.5, certain penalty amount is to be paid, which is to be deposited by the taxpayer. And you have to select the financial year. Here it is one thing to mention that there is one tab which describes have you made the payment. If you have already declared the liability and made the payment but have not filed the communication to the department, in that case you will select this tab to from no to yes. And when you select this no to yes, then you will have to enter the payment reference number, that is the unique number generated by the payment when you set up your liability. So I will further describe in the coming my coming presentation. So here suppose we have selected the, if in case we select the show cause notice, in case we select the from the drop down menu, we select the cause of payment as show cause notice. In that case, as there are two tabs auto populates in our screen. One is the SN reference number and another is issue date. But here the SN number you will have to enter manually, and the issue date you will have to select from the calendar provided, and it will not facilitate you choosing a date beyond 30 days from the issue of show cause notice. So the issue date should be within last 30 days. And you will have to select the section number like 73.5 or 73.8 or 74.8 and select the financial year to which the notice pertains. So coming back to this, suppose I have selected voluntary payment, and the payment date is auto populated, that which is current date. Now I select the section number and the financial year. Since I have not made the payment before, I have not set up the liability before, so I don't change this option from no to no to yes. So I keep it intact as no. Now coming further, two things I have to, in the below portion of that form, two things I have to enter here. Now I have to enter the details, the period to which my payment pertains. That is, if the payment pertains to any tax period, I have to select the tax period and the year from the menu provided. This is from and to, that is period, and details of payment made during, including interest or penalty if applicable. Here I have to select the drop down the tax period from and to from the drop down list provided. And now I have to select the act type to which act the such I am depositing such amount, whether it pertains to IGST or CGST or SGST or cess. To whatever it pertains, I will select it. So here it is pertinent to mention that in case of IGST, it will ask me to indicate the place of supply, and I will have to use the scroll bar to move this to right to enter further details. I will have to indicate the tax payable, the tax amount, the interest amount, and the penalty if applicable in my case. And if there are more than there are more than one services or commodity on which the taxes I am paying the tax, or it is there are CGST and SGST also, I may use this option of adding the details. So I can add as many details as applicable to my case. And but remember, here you will have to select the select the you will have to use the scroll bar to move to your right to enter the details of tax which you want to pay, tax, interest and penalty if applicable to you. And when you enter such details and you click on proceed to pay, when you click on proceed to pay, there is also one action which I, if certain amount you need to edit, there is one edit button is also there. You can edit that amount. And when you click on proceed to pay, when you click on proceed to pay, the next page opens which describes the details of voluntary payment which is liable to be paid by you as per your declaration given in your statement as per details provided in that DRC 03 form by you. So it indicates the amount of tax to be paid under the concerned head as liability by you. And below that portion, you will get whatever the amount is available as cash ledger balance in your electronic cash ledger as the balance as on date, and in the electronic ITC ledger maintained at the GST portal, whatever the balance is available, it will be indicated in the below part of that form. And again, you will please make sure that you use the scroll bar to shift to your right to enter the details from suppose from the ITC ledger balance, whatever amount you want to utilize towards payment of tax, you will have to enter it, but make sure that the interest and penalty cannot be paid utilizing the credit ledger balance. It has to be made only by the cash ledger balance. So you will have to decide what up to what extent you want to utilize the balance available in your cash ledger as well as credit ledger, but make sure that the interest and penalty is to be paid necessarily in by utilizing the cash ledger balance only. If the balance is not sufficient, then in that case you will have to make payment using the payment functionality available in the portal, and just create challan and make payment. And then after payment, after a generation of challan identification number, your cash ledger balance will be auto populated in real time. So here we have seen that we have to enter the details of the tax amount, interest and penalty, whatever it is, in the respective columns by utilizing the scroll bar to your right. So once you fill up that form and enter that amount to be paid, in that case you click on set off button to set off your liability. So the prerequisite is you have the sufficient balance to discharge of that liability, which is shown in the upper part of that form, which you have declared in the form DRC 03. So once you click on set off, in that case, this is the next screen where you have by clicking by using the scroll bar to your right, you get to know whatever is paid through your through cash by utilizing the available balance in the electronic cash ledger, and whatever is being paid by utilizing the balance available in electronic ITC ledger. So once you click on set off, then in that case once you click on set off, you get a message that you are utilizing this much amount of cash and this much amount from your electronic credit ledger for payment of your liability as selected by you. So you will have to check once again whether the details given is correct or not. If it is not correct, you may use the option cancel and refill that form and reinitiate that proceedings. If it is correct, click OK. And once you click OK, you get a message that your payment is successful, your liability has been set off, and a payment reference number is generated. So this is a unique reference number. Once you set off your liability, then the payment reference number is generated or the GST portal. Either you can note it down or it will be reflected in the your liability register. You can see the payment reference number in your liability register, and the concerned debit entry number of the payment made through electronic cash ledger or electronic credit ledger. You can view it in the ledger details. So since you have made the payment in this case, now the other part remains how to communicate it, how to communicate the details of such payment to the tax official. So in that form only, once you reopen that form, or suppose you are in the real time after setting off your liability, you want to proceed further. In that case, select at the as I have described in the earlier slides, you will have to select the option from the have you made the payment. It is by default at no. In that case, you should slide it to your right and yes appears. Since you have made the payment, in that case you will select yes, and your payment reference number, if you are using it in real time, it will be populated by the portal itself, the payment reference number which we indicated in our last slide. I am opening that slide again, and payment reference number, it will be populated from the portal. If you don't get the payment reference number, you can get in the payment reference number in the electronic liability register. So if for fetching such details, you will have to click on the services menu and then click on the electronic liability ledger, and you will get the details in electronic liability register. And once the payment reference number is entered here, payment reference number is entered in the concerned column, and then you can click on get payment details. And once you click on the get payments details, all the tax period which you entered and the details of payment made by you, including interest and penalty if applicable, it is auto fetched in such form. So you make doubly sure that the whatever you want to communicate is there in the form. So in that case, since you have already made the payment, this part 2 is for the communication purpose to the tax official of the details of voluntary payment made by you. Once you I am repeating here, once you enter the PRN number, that is payment reference number here, before it you will have to select slide it to your right by making have you made the payment. Yes, you select to your right and get payment details after entering the PRN, and the details will be fetched by the system. And here one thing is very necessary, ki after entering the PRN number, you will have to make sure that the reasons you will have to indicate reasons in the concerned in the lower portion of that form. There is a text box provided, reason is indicated. You will have to provide reasons and details of pertaining to your case, and you will have to there is one tab for choosing file for attachment. In that case, you will have to attach the concerned calculation sheet or the other documents pertaining to describing your payment and the details of such payment, like calculation and the facts of such payment. So you will have to attach those documents. So before going further, I will describe whether you get payment details, or I asked you that you can check the PRN number and the debit entries from the electronic liability register under services menu. This type of screen you will get when you click on electronic liability register. So this is on the topmost. You can see that it is the liability which is created by the taxpayer by entering details in the form DRC03. So it also contains the debit entry numbers, debit entry reference numbers of the cash or ITC paid towards that voluntary payment. So going further, which reasons you will have to indicate in that form, and attachment, the documents you have to attach. And once when you do it, after it, you will have to verify your declaration and select the name of authorized signatory, who is filing, place, enter the place. And then here also I would advise that please use the preview option, because preview, when you click on preview button, it generates a draft statement of whatever you have entered it before filing. Because if you enter the wrong details, you may come across some other type of problems later. So before filing such intimation, please make sure that the details enters are correct and complete. So after you use the preview button, you can make sure of, and then you will have to file the by clicking on the file button. Once you click on file button, the details cannot be changed. But of course, if some payment is yet to be made, which remains unpaid, you can pay it and declare it and submit that form DRC03, but within the prescribed time limit only. So in that case, once you click on file, you get a warning message when and you can submit it through DSC or EVC, whichever is applicable to you. In this case, the taxpayer is using the submitting through electronic verification code, and it validates the OTP which is received by the at its mobile number, notified mobile number or email ID. Once you click on validate OTP, then the ARN is generated, the application reference number is generated, and the number is given. It reflects on your screen. And at that time, if you have to create another application, you can create another application. Otherwise, the filing of DRC03 is complete. In the first slide, I shown you when you started the filing DRC03, the status was shown as draft. Now, since you have filed, the status is shown as pending for action by the tax officer. So this is all about the filing process of DRC03 by the taxpayer. So the taxpayer can also view and download such applications on the basis of ARN tracking by ARN. So and when you click on ARN on this screen, you will have to log in on my application, select the period, and then search, and you will get the details of the applications filed by you, DRC03 filed by you during the selected period. And once you click on ARN number, you can find the details in this form, and you can download it and take print of it. So this was how to file DRC03. I will take some questions also. So to describe this facility, to the viewers, what is the facility for payment on voluntary basis? Payment on voluntary basis is a facility given to taxpayers to make payment under section 73 or 74 of CGST 17 within 30 days of issuance of show cause notice, or before the issue of show cause notice by the department. So only in two cases this facility can be described. If the order has been issued, then in that case the demand ID has been created in the portal in form of DRC07. In that case, the taxpayer can discharge its liability, but not through DRC03. So when can I make voluntary payment? you can make voluntary payment either before issue of notice, demand notice under section 73 or 74, or within 30 days of issue of show cause notice. So after that period, you cannot make voluntary payment. If the notice has been issued and 30 days period has been lapsed, in that case, you can of course make the payment of your liability, but you cannot fill the DRC 03 in that case. Another question is, can I make partial payment against a liability declared voluntarily? So GST portal does not allow for making partial payments against a liability declared voluntarily. So if suppose there is a liability of 400 rupees and the SCN, there is time you are paying that amount in 2 installment within the 30 days time limit of issuance of notice. In that case, make sure that you fill a form twice and intimate accordingly, but though that should be within the time limit prescribed. But at one time, if you declare your liability in toto, you cannot pay it in part. So you will have to pay your liability completely, discharge in full. So once you click on the set off button, if the payment is successful, and then the success message displayed, which I described in my earlier presentation, then in that case, the payment reference number is given. If the payment is not successful, you will not get that message with the payment reference number, with the PRN. And when the liability is discharged through by clicking on set off button, payment is successful, all the relevant ledgers, that is electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, and the liability register will be auto-populated. It will get entries accordingly. Payment reference number is a unique reference number for any payment transaction done on the GST portal. So here the payment reference number pertains to the payment made in respect of liability, which is part of the other than return related liability posted to electronic liability register. So this is now I will take some questions also. But I will take only the relevant questions which are which pertains to the topic of this presentation. Here I see that one participant asked, if I forget to show the sales in GSTR1 of any period and shows in next return period and pay the tax, then whether we have to file this form? No, sir, in that case, you will not have to file this form, but make sure that in the subsidy, you declare your liability in GSTR1 as soon as possible and pay it along with interest in GSTR3B of the next return period of the in which you are filing the return. Along with interest you will have to pay, and moreover that limitation period of amending any details which is you should have to be careful that if any amendment is made, if any details are amended which have been indicated in your previous GSTR1, it is within the limitation period provided in the law, and wherever applicable you will have to pay the interest also. In case we have filed less tax in 3B, can we pay via DRC 03? Yes, you can pay. Tax not paid in 1 month, if it is paid in next month GRCR 3B, whether DRC 03 is to be filed by the taxpayer. In such case, if you have paid the such tax in along with interest in next GSTR 3B, then DRC 03 is not to be filed. What is the difference between overall tax period and tax period in the form? Or there may be, Shashank Shekharji, there may be many goods or many services in which the tax calculation pertains to the different tax period. So the overall tax period is the broader tax period for which you are declaring your liability, and the tax period in the form pertains to the relevant entry or relevant acts in which you are entering the details. So there may be within the overall tax period, there may be different tax periods as if applicable in your case. Can the liabilities? Ganapati Subramaniam has asked where the liability can be set off by credit balance in ledger. Yes, the liability can be set off, but it will be subject to the cross utilization rules, and wherein the tax liability cannot be charged from of one head against the other. You may go on for details for some such cross utilization details, and also the interest and penalty cannot be paid through cash. Is to be paid only through cash and not through by utilization of credit, ITC credit. Vicky Dudwala has asked whether recipient get ITC credit or tax paid under voluntary payment. Why, sir? You will not get the ITC credit or tax payment under voluntary payment because it is your liability which was not discharged by you, and you are declaring and paying it. So there is no question of getting ITC credit or tax paid under voluntary payment. So this is all we have today. This is all we have today in our presentation. I hope the information is useful to you and it will help you in discharging your liabilities. We have the Goods and Services Network have various social media channels. We are on Facebook in the name of GST Systems India. We updates our Facebook page with the troubleshooting tips and the latest updates at GST portal. So please subscribe to our Facebook page, and we are also on YouTube in the name of Goods and Services Tax Network. So on our YouTube channel, you can view the recording of this presentation and the earlier webinars along with very short films on GST applications, which may help you to use the functionalities in a better way. So, and we are also on Twitter. Our handle is Ask GST Tech. If you have any issues relating to the process, GST portal processes, you can ask your questions. We will reply it. So please subscribe to our social media channels if you have not following us or subscribers so far. This is from Team GSTN. I Pankaj Arora. Again, thank you for you have spared your valuable time to watch this webinar. I acknowledge the inspiration and support given by my seniors, Mr. Prakash Kumar, CEO, Ms. Kajal Singh, EVP, Mr. Rajiv Agarwal, Senior Vice President, and my training team colleagues, Mr. Bhagwan Patil, Mr. Sateshwaran, Neera Tamta, and Rekha Tatawar, and the technology team members, Mr. Ranjit and Mr. Nirmal, for helping me to bring this presentation to you in every possible way. So thank you all viewers. Stay connected. We will bring the presentation of new functionalities in the coming time. Stay connected. Take very good care of yourself. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.